We
There we go.
are we live? We are
We are
live.
live.
Okay, Pam Vredevelt here with my friend Paul Young, and Paul is one of my good friends, and he's also one of my favorite authors. And I know that he personally, you have suffered many griefs in your life, and you know the importance of diligent, good grief.
Yeah. Grief is something you can't avoid when you're dealing with loss. Loss brings the reality of having to face grief, and you can't go around it. You can try to avoid it. You can try to numb it, but you're going to have to deal with it. And I'm talking about not just grief for the loss of someone that you love, or even from the loss of your childhood, or that maybe your parents weren't who they should have been in your life, or you've been betrayed even by a friend, or by someone that you counted on. And there's grief surrounds us in so many different ways, and you can try to run from it, but it doesn't just disappear. It's going to show up in the middle of your world, and you're going to have to do the work. I don't like doing the work particularly. I'd rather have extreme soul makeover, send me to Disney World and fix me by the time I get back. But we're too intricately made, and we're too valuable, and we're too magnificent of creations to be fixed easily. And part of dealing with loss, and part of any possibility of resurrecting something living inside of loss, is to do the work of grief. And it's worth the work. It's hard. And as best you can, stay inside just one day's worth of grief when you're doing the work, because otherwise it gets too overwhelming. But you do the work, and it's worth the work. What comes out of it is unexpected. You can't go in with expectations or a timetable. It doesn't work like that. You'll have moments where you're completely numb, and then you'll feel guilty about laughing. And I mean, there's just so many facets to this. But you're not alone in this, and we're not designed to be alone in this. You have to remember, we're made in the image of a God who's never been alone. So aloneness is not part of how we're made. And you can't process grief alone. You've got to invite others into that. So I encourage you, and if you're working particularly on like the loss of an unborn child, or the loss of a child, those kinds of soul-wrenching losses. I know Pam's got this to help you. This is a workbook to help you work through that kind of grief, to do the work. And nothing's a formula, because the uniqueness of your loss is connected to the uniqueness of who you are. But it's helpful, and there are people who will step into this world with you if you allow them. There's a lot of us fundamentalist Christians who say stupid stuff at the same time, but you'll have to bear with us and forgive us in that process as well. But I encourage you. You've got a loss that you're dealing with. You got to go into it, because that's where Jesus is going to meet you too, and do the work, however long it takes.
Paul, what's helped you as you've worked through your griefs? What are some of the
Great question.
things that have been really helpful to promote your own healing?
Yeah, getting help. For some of my griefs, I had to get professional help because they were just too deep, and I needed somebody to walk into that place with me, because it was just too scary to go there by myself. But also letting in friends and letting in family, learning how to talk about things, that helped. Slogging it out, knowing that it's an incremental process, letting it challenge some of the things that I believe about the character and nature of God, as well as who I am as a human being. Because grief will do that. It's like the bitter cold in the north. It makes you real, and you gotta do this with people, not alone.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think one of the things that I've seen in your writings is your own process coming through in story.
It does.
And the brain science absolutely backs that up. When
Right.
we write,
Yes.
we heal.
Yep.
And when we tell our story,
Yep.
we heal. And so thus,
A lot of our fears and our lack of dealing with our grief is because we are isolated in some sense. And when you write your story, when you tell your story, you're getting your inside world out. And a lot of things that feel overwhelming and too huge to handle, once they're brought out into the light of community and relationship, they become much more. They become easier to live inside of. You know, when you share your joys, you double them. And when you share your grief, you halve them. And so I'm saying share your griefs. You know, take the risk with somebody. And if you have nobody, ask God to show you somebody, because you can't do this by yourself.
so well said. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
This is done in honor of National Pregnancy Loss Awareness Day. If you know somebody that needs encouragement, please reach out to them. Don't let them suffer in silence.
Yeah, and don't forget, this will help.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome. Well, you're my friend.
Good to see you all. Take good care. Bye-bye. So how do I turn it off?
I don't know. Good luck. Good luck with that.
Am I-
Hit a button.